I was going to make a joke like Jimmy's got this amazing nurse case manager coming in person, and then you have the Tony Maritatos of the world, and they're like, "I have my virtual nurse case manager. Can you speak with her?" Like yes, there's therapists out there that could do this, Tony. Yes, there's clinicians and there's nurses that could do this, but I don't think we're at that point where you can have someone that does all that.
All right, Dave, you had some stuff that you wanted to talk about. You had an idea for today.
So a couple things. Well, one was I ran it past Tony about something that we're adding into our new client paperwork that allows us to raise prices in the future for new clients without it being awkward then. Because what I've realized over years is like you have someone that starts with us, they pay whatever, $250 a visit, $300, $310, $350, whatever the dollar amount is. Anyone that's out of pocket or out of network. And over time, like, what do you do? Like, what do owners do? They send an email in like October, November, and they're like, hey, we're going to raise our prices January 1st. Buy up as many packages and things that you want to buy before the prices go up. I am adding this verbiage and I'd be happy to share it. Maybe if there's anyone live, I think maybe we should say like, drop pricing as a comment. Just put pricing in the comment, and if you want, then I can go into it. But I sent this to Jeremy Sutton, who, no, that's Health Mention. That's not Jeremy Sutton. But Jeremy Sutton, I sent this to, and I was like, hey, he's a big listener and a big supporter of the show. He paid for one of the clarity calls with me. So I sent this to Jeremy. I was like, hey, I know this is valuable. And he's the only one I've sent it to. He's the only one I told this about. But it's a way to drop the kernel of the price raise maybe 6 or something months in advance, so that clients know that it's coming, but you show a ton of value up front before this is even an issue, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is like I'm a building owner. I'm a landlord. We updated our leases. It's written into every lease that there's going to be cost of living or, inflation raises. You're going to cap it at a certain level, but when we were talking a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, I was like, why aren't we creating these financial agreements between us and the patient? There's a good faith estimate and there's a couple of things out there. But since I started my practice, it was always, this is what worst case scenario, this is the most you're going to pay. If insurance pays more than we expect, you'll pay less, but you'll never pay more, even if they reject or deny. So putting that kind of verbiage into the agreement to say, look, it's a standard increase in compensation every year, however you're going to do it. Give us a little idea about the wording. Like, what did you say?
So let me swing back to that. The thing that you just mentioned about you'll never pay more than this dollar amount. We also include that for the out-of-network new client paperwork. So the out-of-network insurance, right? So there's two groups of folks. If someone says like, hey, I have Medicare or Medicaid, or I have United Healthcare in-network only, we're like, hey, we don't bill it. We only bill the out-of-network benefits, right? So for that person, they get one of the new client packets that says like, so it's 100% out of pocket. And this is the clear and transparent dollar amount, the rate. Then the folks where we build our out-of-network insurance will say, you have $1,000 deductible. So it's going to be $250 for 4 visits. And then on the 5th visit, it'll drop down to whatever their in-network copay is that's on their contracted plan. So they pay the $250 times 4 to hit their $1,000 deductible. Then they pay like a $15 or $30 or $50 copay, and their insurance picks up the rest. That's like in an easy scenario. So I can't remember what, maybe it was like an Alex Hormozy thing about the consumer price index, but this is what I added into the new client paperwork. So it's a section in itself, and the section is titled Consumer Price Index and Our Rate Adjustments. And never say price raise or price increase, or we say rate adjustments to ensure we continue providing exceptional care effective whenever. So for us, I effective June 1st. And then of course we're going to do like in the fall or January 1st of next year, but effective June 1st, 2025, our rates will adjust based on the consumer price index. The CPI reflects the average change in prices over time for goods and services, which impacts our operational costs. On June 1st, 2025, our rates will increase by approximately 2.9% with a maximum adjustment of no more than 7% depending on the CPI at that time. This adjustment helps us cover rising costs while maintaining the high quality treatments and outcomes you expect. Thank you for understanding and for choosing us as your trusted provider in health and wellness. Pros, cons, Like it, love it, hate it. What do you got?
And where do you put it? Like, where is someone seeing this?
So this is in the new client paperwork. Like it's not, because I'm on my phone now, I can't really share it as well. But
Yeah.
this is like, okay, so let's say if you have, like, you're going to be out of pocket. So we're going to send you this over email. It's a 3-page document. The first page is the treatment consent form. The second page has credit card and signature on file, your actual dollar amount, cost per visit, the CPI component, accepted forms of payment like credit card and Venmo and Zelle, and for you to sign off to e-sign. And then the third page is the 24-hour cancellation policy. So that would be it. That would be just 3 pages. So it was just like one extra paragraph added, and doesn't like it's not like a full page of text. So we try to minimize the paperwork, as we've all talked about before.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's expected. I think at this point, everything is having something like this. So I think it's putting it in there is good. Like, I think communicating it early is better than having that end of year email that Tony was referring to saying, hey, this is what's coming, and just a heads up, and then going into a long-winded story about why you're doing it. People get it. They understand. They read the news. They do the same thing. So I think building it in makes sense.
Talking about Hermosi, you mentioned him. One of his things he said the other day I was listening to was like, I think he called it's just the way it is, or it's the way it's always been done. He was like talking about objections, and what if somebody says this? You say, it's just this is the way we do it. And that would be an example of this is the way we do it. I think we have more of an issue putting that kind of thing out there than the client does. The client doesn't know. The client doesn't care. Like, this is the way Dave does business, and this is just part of it. So I think it's genius. I love it. And Dave, you used AI to create that policy, the verbiage.
Yeah, specifically about the CPI. I typed in I used ChatGPT. I don't remember the exact prompt because this was now I don't know, like a month ago or something that I added this in. But use that, and it wrote it better than I can, and more efficiently in the short amount of words. Jared Durham checking in live.
Yeah, AI will be the norm in 6 months. I agree. I've got access to a bunch of, how do I say it? They're the verbiage that the reviewer used after a Medicare audit for people who didn't pass the audit, or there were partial takebacks from the audit. I've got screenshots of what their results were and what they said. And so I feed that into HippoScribe, which is my AI scribe. And last night, the night before, I've been using it to rework a lot of my documentation, my framework, to bring in very specific terminology that they're using or that they're looking for. And again, I go back to, it's one of those things that we are so stuck in our heads. Just like Dave's example, we're freaking out that somebody's going to balk at, putting a price increase in there. We're so stuck in our own heads that every note needs to be unique. Every note needs to be special. Every note is a snowflake. It's not. There is an established framework that the reviewers are looking for. And if you just give them the clearest roadmap you can give them, they will approve what you're asking for, assuming it's not completely absurd. And there is no better way to do that than creating a framework through AI that pulls the terminology straight from the policy of that particular payer, uses their words to kind of document, to capture what's really going on in the patient care experience. All right. What else you got for us? Bingo. Jerry said bingo.
I was blown away recently. I went and visited a concierge practice in New York City, and they've previously refer patients to me. It's a $60,000 initiation fee and $60,000 for the first year. So you have to spend.
Yeah. What is this? Explain this to me again.
So this is built by a wealthy family in New York City. So you basically get a chief medical officer. So you get like your own personal internal medicine physician who you can basically call any time of the day. And then when they're sleeping, you can still call in and you can speak with a local emergency ER physician who works a flex role, like the overnights for this place. So this place is called Atria Institute, atria.org. I've received referrals from them over the past year or so. Now that I have a few more stable and hungry therapists, like I'm trained, like I have 2 patient visits per week right now. So I'm basically out of patient care and I want to focus on marketing, referrals, all that, referral partners. So I scheduled a couple physician visits at a couple different concierge practices. And this was one of them. You can look on their website and the website is really nice. But when I walked in there, dude, it was like the Ritz-Carlton Four Seasons on healthcare steroids. It didn't feel medical at all. The exam rooms, the actual like table chair exam room has like a linen blanket instead of like the white paper that you like tear off and throw away. I was blown away. Like just, and I know, like I always circle back. I want to kind of cover, like I know that like I can't even afford that right now, and it's not for everyone. But it is just bonkers wild how some folks live, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to them because they're referring patients. The patients obviously do not balk at our $350 per visit or whatever. And it's just fascinating. It's fascinating how big they've grown in the past couple of years. They have a ton of physicians. They've opened up a Palm Springs location. They're going to be opening up Beverly Hills and LA this year, and then potentially even Silicon Valley this year or next year. So it's a gigantic place. It's 2 floors. It's on 57th Street, which is one of the, more expensive areas in Manhattan. Just blown away. Like, someone came over while I was speaking to the membership director, and they're like, "Oh, would you like any water or coffee, tea, or anything?" So I was like, you know what? I know I'm going to be talking a lot today. I was like, I'll take a hot green tea with some honey. And like the cup that it came in, it just felt different. It had like some, tactile roughness on the outside of the cup, something I've never felt before. And I think I told Tony, so that's why he's laughing. But I was just blown away. And I know this is kind of probably, it's like for the 1% basically, but still fascinating nonetheless. Just really, really interesting tour around there. I basically got lost. The place was so big. It was 2 floors, steps connect, and beautiful staircase connecting the 2. MRI, CT scan, all there. They had the Run DNA, Doug Adams, shout out Doug Adams. They had Run DNA because they have a couple physical therapists. And they have 2,500 members in the New York City area that are paying this dollar amount. So if you do the rough math, they're doing about 100 million, call it 80, 90, whatever, because there might be some people that pay less. They're doing anywhere from 80 to 100 million in revenue in that location. And they have a Palm Springs, and they're opening up LA, and then they're opening up in Silicon Valley. So my head was spinning. But I've been in this world enough with some of these folks in New York City over the years where I'm able to just play it cool and act like I've been there or whatever. Act like, like as if I'm a member and I know these people, whatever. So it was just fascinating.
But you point out this idea of the edge. Like, that is awesome. I'm never going to touch that. A lot of people listening are probably never going to touch it.
I will. I just can't afford it right now.
Right. But the idea is that now set the bar for the extreme. Someone will now, that's the Lexus. Someone's going to come up with the Toyota, and then the Scion version of that. And it's ridiculous now until someone does it and it proves the model and it works. And then everybody says, well, how come I can't afford this? Or what is the middle of the road? What is the sedan model of this luxury car? So they're proving that this is a proof of concept.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's one of those things that they broke the 4-minute mile. Now you're going to see those other people that break the 4-minute mile. But I think what it's going to do is it's going to create a draft that sucks a bunch of people that used to be 6-minute mile runners to a 5-minute mile. And that's where I'm hoping to jump onto that draft. I told you guys before, we've got the soft wave device. We've got the newbie device. What I'm starting to do, which I'm excited about this, and I'm surprised that I'm excited about this, because I had avoided weight loss for so long. When I first moved into this space,
what folks really care about. Let's go.
I was a strength coach, personal trainer. Everything was about nutrition and exercise, move more, eat less. Then, I burnt myself out because I was like, it doesn't work. Nobody's losing weight. I can't do this. There's so much more to this than I can affect. So for, 20 years, I just quit completely. Nobody's talking about weight loss in my clinic. Now, I was in a conversation with one of my tenants. He has a red light therapy device, and they're rolling out their weight loss, weight management, fat reduction. And I'm approaching it like I would approach anything. It's not a single thing. It's not put these lasers on and you're going to lose 20 pounds. It's okay, let's use this as a component within lifestyle management, physical therapy. Let's reduce the joint pain. Let's get you moving a little bit. Let's use the new fit to reduce acute onset of pain. Let's use the soft wave to maybe improve tissue healing. Let's use, this one is Invisared, and it's whatever it is. So I'm going to be the case study. I'm going to be the one that goes through the process. We're going to record it, document it. I'm going to put it on. We'll do the measurements. I will be the before and after. And if I can find the messaging that resonates with me, it'll be the messaging that resonates with my ideal consumer, because I've aged into my ideal consumer's demographic. Jimmy, while you were gone, I turned 50. So now I am my target demographic, little disposable income, extra weight on my middle section, feel like I can't put on muscle no matter how much I work, feel like I eat well, but it doesn't make a difference. The things that worked for me 10 years ago don't work for me today.
There's the sales letter right there.
It is. I can exactly see my audience. So yeah, but this is going to be a big cash program, and I looked at the marketing that they have, and it's horrible. I hate it. And I've known what my tenant has been doing, and I just don't think it's effective. I've run it through some people that I trust, Joey Albritton and a couple of the other guys that are in that world. And they're like, yeah, it's pretty rough, like terrible landing page, not so great messaging. So we're going to clean it up, try to make it better. And we're going to incorporate as a partnership. He owns the device, but I'm going to sell plans of care that include that service. So we can kind of put it all together into a premium package. That's one of the big things that I'm going to be working on for the next month or so.
Are you going to be doing the red light, how many, like daily, or how many times a week do you think?
Well, that's the thing. So I still don't know enough. I'm researching and I'm trying to understand. There are no consumables with it, which I think are interesting. So whether somebody uses it 1 day a week or 5 days a week, it doesn't affect anything in terms of how much it costs to deliver. So the investment has already been made. I think we could potentially do something. I still love 5 days a week. If I was willing to work on weekends, I would do more, but I'm not. So, if you really, if Dave, you're my client and you come to me and you're like, Tony, I've been dealing with this thing, it's not going away. I'm like, look, we have to be realistic. You brush your teeth every day. You take a shower every day. There are things you do every day. If you're going to be serious about this, we have to do it every day. And what you should be doing, you're not doing it. So my job isn't to teach you what to do. You already know what to do. My job is to help you do it. And I can't do that if you're not here. So let's just make a commitment, 28 days, another Hormozy thing, sell 4 weeks, don't sell a month, 28 days, starting today, we're going to take steps moving you down that path. And you got to be here. You got to commit to it. Because if you're not serious to commit right now, you're not ready for the change and it's not going to help. There you go. There's my pitch.
So did you say that you're going to start doing it yourself this week or in the near future? And if you see some benefits or positive effects from it, then you'll add it as an offer and then you'll offer it to your patients and clients. Is that what you said?
I'm going to add it pretty much no matter what. I mean, assuming it's not harmful, which I've never seen anything to suggest it would be, I'm going to add it no matter what. They've never done a live seminar. I'm going to do the live seminar with them. They've never produced any in-house video content. I'm going to produce the in-house video content. I'm really going to kind of adopt it and bring it in. And side note, I mean, I'm the landlord. I own the building. The more successful they are, the more rent I can charge. Like, this was part of the conversation also. I need them to be successful. I want them to be successful. But yeah, I'm going to do it no matter what. I'm hoping to roll it out starting this Monday. We're hosting a live event in my clinic. He is going to be coming to that. So we're going to kind of nail down the details over the weekend.
Love it.
All right. What else we got, guys? So Scott said, red light is great. You feel better almost immediately. Yeah, I've never done anything with it.
So I'm curious, like what potential offer? Like, let's say, so Tony, like you're saying, if I came in, how much are you thinking ballpark? Is this, so it's 28 days?
Yeah, 28 days.
What's the dollar amount? And like you said, you're still figuring out if it's like I can come in 3-5 days a week, or is it, unlimited? Or
he had been running like a $59 introductory offer, and then I don't know what his package is after that. What I'd like to get to is a $3,600 value that's coming in, $3,600 in revenue for 4 weeks. So that's going to be a combination of insurance-based reimbursement, whatever that plan is going to cover. It's going to be access to the new fit, access to the SoftWave, and access to the Invisired. But my target is $3,600 for the month for the person. But I don't care who's paying it. It could be, 80% the patient pays, 20% the insurance pays. I don't care. That's what we're shooting for.
I love it. But if someone's coming in for weight loss only, why would they care about your physical therapy insurance coverage? Why would they care about the newbie?
Perfect.
Or the SoftWave if they have no pain? Of course, I know the newbie, you could put the electrodes on them and have them do exercises with the electrical current. I get that. What if they're like they say to you, well, I saw your Facebook ad, and I'm like you, Tony. I tried all the workouts, even though they probably haven't, and I did all the cardio and the this and that, even though they probably haven't. So like, how are you going to use all those if the consumer just wants the red light?
Because it's one of those, and I have to feel good about what I'm delivering. I know that, or at least I believe that, the red light isn't going to do anything in a vacuum. You cannot just lay on this table with these red light electrodes, diodes, whatever they are, and lose 10 pounds. It's not going to happen. So if you want to do this, you have to do all of it. It's all or none. You don't get to pick and choose. If you want to just, go get lipo, like go do something else that we know is effective. Don't think that you're going to buy this service and have the result that you want. You have to be vested in the entire process. And the reason why the new fit comes in, like you said, is because if you are 50, 60, 70, if you are overweight, and with my verbiage in the ad copy, I'm targeting people that can't exercise because of joint pain, but know they want to exercise to be healthier and lose weight. Okay, let's eliminate the joint pain with the new fit. Let's get you moving better. Let's get you doing more. I understand my frustrations. And so within the ad copy, that's an element that I'm including. And I don't want the person that thinks this is an easy fix, I'm going to lay down and it's going to melt the fat. We're going to burn the fat. And this is just a supplement to that, but it's also the nutrition, the lifestyle, the exercise, and the other stuff. Let's see what Ali said. Ali said, good morning, guys. Is there any advice on finding a mentor? I'm a PTA that owns an outpatient practice.
Do you remember like 5 or 6 years ago, there were people like creating mentorships? Like that was the new fad. Everybody was a mentor in I'm the pelvic mentor, I'm the running mentor. And their business model was find 20 or 30 people at X number of dollars per month. And then that was what they were going to do. They were selling, mentorships. I feel like you don't see that as much.
Probably because it's hard to make a full-time living on it because people balk at the actual dollar amount of what a mentor, coach, whatever would charge. And also, like, I got kind of jaded back when I was doing the cash-based, coaching stuff with Ron Miller, because there were a few breakout stars, right? Eric Broadworth, Eric Otero, Brett Scott. I'm forgetting probably a few, but there were a ton that like were just frankly not putting in the work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've still researched and read so many times, what's the definition of a mentor? What's the definition of a coach? What's the definition of, all these different terms that we hear? I think back to Jerry Durham, if he's still on, just like we try to prepare the patient to understand what to expect, I think when people are signing up for that, and Ali, I'll mention you in a second, I think it's a disconnect with fulfillment and the expectation. I want a mentor. Why do you want a mentor? Because I want somebody to kind of hold my hand and take me from point A to point B. Okay. But is this person actually want somebody to do it for them? Is this person going to execute on the advice they're being told? Does this person want somebody to, develop the framework for them? Is it a consultant? Is it a coach? Is it a mentor? I've never developed a clear understanding in my own head of what each of these things are. So Ali said, pull this back up. I know there's a lot to learn. I've been in the field for about 5 years now. So, not knowing you've been in the field, you've obviously gained some experiences. Are you paying for access? Like I think, and Dave would know better than me, my understanding is a mentor is somebody who's already kind of gone down the road you want to go down, and you're asking about their experiences and they're going to share what they did, but that's not necessarily what you should do. And that's what I try to tell people all the time. Like, look, guys, I started 25 years ago. I was living in my mom's basement. I had 0 student loans. I wasn't even a physical therapist. And this was pre-Facebook, pre-social media, pre-YouTube. We're in a completely different world right now. So to take my experiences and try and apply it today, I don't think you're going to get much value from that.
Yeah, I tell people listen, watch, or try to work with or work for people who are doing the thing you want to do 5 years from now. And understand that the world is going to change drastically in those 5 years. So you're not necessarily learning how to do it. You're learning how to learn, how to pivot and figure things out.
Also, I would suggest, Ali, respectfully, don't try to get it for free. I mean, unless you had a great CI, a great coworker, someone who you already have rapport with or whatever. But if you're looking for a mentor or a coach or what you're looking for something, oftentimes if you're paying for that as a service, then you pony up some money, you take it more seriously. Oftentimes that other person doesn't feel like you're bugging them too much and they're getting their time wasted or whatever. So regardless of who you go with or, what type of solution or service or whatever, just consider you might want to have some dollar amount in the transaction, because then it's a little bit easier to exchange the value and have it follow that way.
And two places that you can do that, or 2 situations you can do that, is school. This is why people have professors or advisors or mentors there, or work. So you're working and you're choosing who to work for or work with, that you can not only get paid and you're providing effort and you're providing value, but you're also learning there. Those are good learning environments.
Now, all of that, great. I'm not sure what platform you're on. It looks like you're on YouTube. I shared 2 names, Kim Nardiker and Larry Hernandez. They are both PTAs. They are both business owners. They have both been through the hoops. They've been around for a while. Those would be 2 names that I think I would reach out to if I were you, whether it's coaching, mentorship, just, following them on social media, whatever you want to do. But those are 2 people that they're PTAs. They've been down that road. They would be great resources for you. I had asked, Dave and Jimmy, jump in. I talked about 2 questions that I ask a bunch of my patients. The second one was one that Dave didn't like or didn't agree with or didn't understand. So, I don't even remember what the first one was. Maybe you guys do. But the second one was, when I'm evaluating a new patient, they're coming into my clinic for the first time, I ask everyone this. I'm like, okay, I think the first one was, what did you expect us to do today?
Which is a good first
because I want them to have, I want to know, do you think I'm going to touch you? Do you think I'm going to massage you? Do you think I'm going to work you out? What are you expecting? And then the second one was, once they tell me what's going on, and we'll just say, patient comes in, insidious onset, low back pain. What are the options? I want to know, is surgery an option for you? Even though I became a physical therapist with the intent to avoid surgery, I need to know, is surgery an option for you? Is injections an option for you? Oral medication, steroids? what are the options we have available? Even though I'm never going to, deliver those options, I want to know. We've got a patient right now on the schedule. We've been working on a neck pathology. It is so sensitive, so flared up, so painful. If it was me and I do everything to avoid injections and surgery, I would just say, hey, just go see what the surgeon wants to do and at least put that on the table. Like, don't say absolutely not, because that is a viable option in this case. Not for everybody, but in this case, I know this is probably the best solution for this person. What didn't you like about that second question, Dave?
Can you just restate the question again?
Just I said, if you don't get better with therapy, or if this doesn't work for you, or, what are the options? Are you willing to have surgery? Yes or no? Because there are patients like this one who's like, absolutely, definitively, there is no chance I'm going to have surgery. Okay, so that changes my plan of care. That takes one option, one tool away from what I
don't understand. How does that change your plan of care?
Because if they're not responding to certain things, surgery is an option. I might say, go get a surgical consult. This is not presenting the way I would expect it to get better with therapy, at least what I'm doing. Go talk to the surgeon. Let's see what the surgeon has to say. And their surgery exists for a reason. I know plenty of, especially cervical patients, that it's like a switch, man. They go in, they get a surgery for a cervical pathology, and they're back to normal. The next day, there's no need for follow-up care. There's no therapy. There's no medication. They cut away the thing that's causing their pain, and they feel amazing. And I want to know if that's an option that I can recommend.
Well, we might have to send the New York City patients over to you, because the ones that we know that have gotten cervical and lumbar fusions still have a lot of pain afterwards. So originally, I hated the question. I'm trying to understand, Tony, your point. And I think the best thing might be like, you're almost going to kind of coordinate, send them a certain way if they need it. Sometimes we have people calling us and they'll mention on the front end, like they want to avoid surgery, they want to avoid injections, all that. So when I read that as your question, like what are kind of like the options, or what are you open to, or whatever, I don't even know if maybe the physician would ask that, because they're the ones that actually would do the application of those things. But us asking the patient, like the patient's going to be like, I don't know, like I'd rather avoid. Most people want to avoid it, right? But like they might need it, and the patient's like, I don't know. I'm asking you. I'm going to ask the surgeon, whatever. Like, I don't understand why a therapist would ask a patient. The patient's like, of course I want to avoid it. Like who wants an injection in their neck or surgery in their neck or their back? Like no one truly would want that. So I think most people would want to avoid it. But if they really need it, like most people are going to be like, let's do the thing. Let's do the injection. Let's do the surgery. So since we don't do those procedures, and the patient really doesn't even know, they're like, I guess I need imaging. I need some, a surgical consult, a specialist consult, whatever. I don't know. I feel like it's asking someone a question where, of course, they're going to have preconceived notions, but they don't fully know the answer to, like, do I actually need it or not?
But that's the thing. They don't know the answer. They're open-minded. They're willing to explore anything. And I want to know. I think the highest level we can function at is project manager. I think, delivering the service, anybody can do, but to actually look at all of the resources. And I think the acute care therapists are amazing at this. Outpatient therapists tend to neglect this, but it's like, look, you don't need to get everything from me. And another great example, I'll give two quick cases. So two guys come in, typically guys, both of them have low back pain. One guy is 70 years old. He's got multiple medical complexities. He's had spinal stenosis, low back pain for a decade. He falls at home once or twice a week, but they haven't been emergency falls. This is just the life that he's living. He's very stable. Nothing's really changing. He's got peripheral neuropathy, numbness down the leg. He's probably not a great candidate for lumbar surgery, especially not if he's never done any therapy. The other guy, maybe he's 26. Maybe he was totally normal 3 weeks ago, comes in today with numbness into the groin, difficulty controlling bowel and bladder, a very specific radicular pattern based on dermatomes. Like this guy, he doesn't need physical therapy. You know, maybe he was a CrossFitter and had a bad snatch and felt the pop, and all of a sudden he's got this very specific pattern. In the patient's mind, they just have back pain. But in our world, we understand, okay, these are two completely different situations. I want to know for the second guy, I think surgery is probably, or at least a surgical consult. I'm not even saying like go do surgery. I'm saying, look, get a surgical consult, see what they say, because that's not my area of expertise. But I can tell you that, you know, you might be a good candidate just to go in there and get them to clean up whatever happened. That's where I think we add the most value. And the more people that I can help in that way without necessarily even treating them, that to me is fulfilling at this stage of my career. Yeah. But that's where, real quick, that's where you hear me say, I don't want to treat pain. I don't want to be, you know, the guru, the healer. I don't want to be any of that stuff. I would rather at this point in my career direct people to better physical therapists than me, to better surgeons, to better pain management, to better resources, and let me just do that part of it.
Yeah, recently I hired a geriatric case manager, so essentially a social worker but private. Didn't even know this was a thing. Figured it would cost tens and thousands of dollars. It costs money, but actually not that much. And I felt the value on like the first meeting. So this was like to help me navigate like doctor's appointments and where my dad should go after a stroke and what's best for him. Like I remember I've looked at this woman in the eye and been like, what is the best decision to make here? And she does not hesitate. Like she understands I am paying her for her advice. She doesn't go, well, whatever you think is good. I'm like, I thought hiring you was good. So exactly. If I hire you as an expert, yes, I want to understand how you're getting to that decision to see if there's like some major flaw in your logic. But if I can't spot the flaw, what the hell did I hire you for? Right? I hired you to make this decision. We're visiting assisted living facilities. We visited 2. After the second one, I said, do we need to see 5 more, or are they all sort of like this? She's like, they're all sort of like this. I'm like, so we're going on location, price, you know, general overall experience, whatever. But she's like, if they're all A minuses, then what are we looking at? And she's like, right, I wanted you to get a feel of like this one, and then which one is right for your dad. It's like, great. So we saw 2. But I think normally I'd be like, well, you've got to see 5 or 10. And I'm like, dude, that's weeks worth of stuff, right? My dad's sitting there waiting and, you know, the clock is ticking and he's miserable. So we saw 2. I pulled the trigger in the parking lot of the second one going, got it. Not the first one. I want the second one, but I saw the difference. She's like, got it. Right. What did that save me? A lot of time and effort and some money, but also I would have had to done the time and effort to like research those things and no, steer clear of this, go towards that. So, you know, project management, I think you're right.
But so what we do for our patients, I believe, our patients and clients is more of like what that case manager, how she made you feel, Jimmy. And I think just Tony has a different vibe and a different, I don't know, it's just like a different approach to navigating those conversations. Like you've heard like so many times, like we hear someone that they never had physical therapy and they come to physical therapy after a back surgery, neck surgery, fusion, whatever. And it's like, how come this person didn't get physical therapy? Right. And then here, Tony's giving the example of a patient not getting that, coming to physical therapy. And Tony's like, what are you open to? Like, I can send you down the road and this guy's going to open your neck up. So anyway, our approach is that nurse case manager for Jimmy. Like the way that you just described that, I believe that's how our patients and clients describe it. Now, of course, if they don't respond to conservative care, Tony, then absolutely. It happened at the end of 2024. We had a client with radiculopathy. It wasn't responding. And she got an MRI and it was like the sequestration of the disc. Like it was way too far herniated. And she needed a microdiscectomy or laminectomy or whatever it was. So, but she's still with us now for the post-surgical rehab in her home. So, but she wasn't asking us, or we didn't ask her, like, are you open to certain, like it in our experience, it's like, we want to help the client, you know, kind of grab them by the hand the way she did with you, Jimmy. She's kind of like,
she did ask me a bunch of those questions for the first like 2 meetings though. So My aunt actually found this person. I didn't even know that this person, this job, this role existed. My aunt was like, this woman is for you. She's in your area. Just talk to her. And she sized me up pretty quick. And, when you're good at something, like the first 2 or 3 questions to ask, like, hey, let me guess, do you have A, B, and C problem? And you're like, yes, I do. Well, okay, that's what I do is I've done this before and I navigate and here's what I get to relieve. Like, you don't go and Google these things or, you don't have to advocate for your dad because you don't know what you're doing at a doctor's appointment. I come and I do that. And I was like, got it. Great. So all I heard you say was my dad's going to get the best care possible. And I'm not going to have to worry if I'm not providing it for him.
I love that we're on both sides of Jimmy because we're both agreeing. We're both agreeing with Jimmy. Basically, Jimmy said, I don't want to see 20 more facilities. Right. I want to give me an answer now. And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying at the evaluation, look, I can offer you 12 weeks of therapy because this is something that's going to take time to resolve. But if you're open to surgery and you don't want to do 12 weeks of therapy, you don't want to see 10 more facilities, then you might be better to just go get a surgical consult because it could be done in a day. I'm not opposed to that. Now, again, if it's somebody who's got persistent, chronic, long-term condition that I don't think is even reasonable for surgery, I'm not going to make that recommendation until they fail therapy. And then if they come to me and they're like, I'm sick of this, I'm tired, I want a solution now, I say, well, I have nothing else for you, which I've said plenty of times. Let's go get a surgical consult. Let's see what other options there are out there. Jimmy, did you see, I had posted almost that exact thing when my mother-in-law was in the hospital. Her family was, taking shifts and there was always somebody there with her. And I had posted that this really would be an ideal paid position for a smaller family to hire, preferably a therapist with experience, not necessarily a social worker, but it doesn't really matter, who could kind of run point on this, to the level that this person might even be in the hospital in the morning, because we know certain doctors come through, they do rounds, you never know when they're going to be there, but if you're not there when they're there, you don't get the information. So paying a person to be there at the hospital, but then also to coordinate, okay, where is mom or dad going? What facility are they going to? This would be a better recommendation for this particular family. I know the hospital has employees who do that, but they're not dedicated to my mom, to my dad. I need somebody who understands my unique situation.
Also, their goals need to be aligned.
Yeah,
there were social workers along the way for my dad, and their job was to get them one step forward out of their place to the next place. Did they care about my dad? Sure, but their job was to move his little, he was a piece on a game board. Move him to the next square, and then wait for the next one to fall in their lap. So he's been to several different places along the healthcare spectrum, and there are nice people.
But when you pay that nurse case manager, it's different, right? It feels different. The results seem different, or the process seems different.
I'll give you an example. And she said, this is the trap that you fell into. And it's lying or whatever. My dad was in the ER, had a really bad episode. And I was scared to bring him home. I was like, I don't know what to do. Woke up at 8 a.m., went to the ER to pick him up. He'd been there all night. He wasn't being admitted. They were like, he's being discharged. And I'm like, I don't understand. I am afraid to bring this man to my house. And the ER physician was like, we can keep him, but it's $4,500 a day. And I was like, wait a minute. What are we talking about? She's like, and then she gave me a piece of paper that was a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy of places that I could call and figure out myself of what to do. So I pulled the car around and put my dad in the car, and 12 months later, my dad had to go to the ER again, but I had this woman and she goes, nope, you have to say these magic words. I do not feel that my house is a safe place for him to be discharged. That just says you do not pass go. You do not get to kick my dad to the next box or just kick him home. I understand why they're doing it though. They're like, these systems are overwhelmed and I feel for that, but I sort of don't care about the system because I'm playing for my dad. So I feel for the rest of the system, but I am only in charge of this one piece on the board and I am playing for him. So the second time we went around that, he did not leave the hospital system because it was not a safe place. This kid, he had like 6 falls in 10 days or something like that. And I was like, I don't know what to do. The next step is he's going to fall and hit his head or he's going to break something, and then he's going to be back here and he's going to be worse off. I can't believe that was the thing that they were telling me to do.
So then they send him to a subacute or a SNF or what?
He went to an acute care. Now he's in a SNF, and now we're going to assisted living. But essentially, they were also saying, I mean, if you really want to get deep, it's like a therapy session. He needed to be out of the house so I could see that I didn't need to be the only person doing this. Like my dad was at my house for a year and a half, and I was trying to juggle life for a year and a half. And when that woman was like, well, he's fine, he can walk and, everything's checked out, so it's not our problem. I just assumed it was all my problem. Not that my dad is a problem, but like his problems were my problems to solve and my problems to solve alone, until I hired this woman and she was like, okay, I know where you are on the board, and it's not just one path. You've got choices depending on what you want, what your dad wants, all those different things. It's not just here he is at home, but how many people are out there doing that? You can say the same thing about a parallel for someone with back pain or someone with anything. It's like, did you know it's not just surgery, but surgery could be an option? It's like understanding your options. That's and then she also does the legwork for me. I called this person. We have a call with them tomorrow at 1:00, or your dad has an appointment, yada, yada, yada. Because that is bandwidth, man. And that when you're trying to have a life or a job or do anything, it's worth the money.
We see all these therapists that want to get out of patient care, especially the ones that are in the system like that. They've been acute care, they've been skilled nursing, they've been whatever. They are like this is the ideal non-clinical job for them, because they understand the system, they understand how it works. They probably did an amazing job doing this while they were practicing therapy, but now they can step out and just focus on this. I even wonder if there's an opportunity for them to do it remotely.
Oh,
yeah. So that if they couldn't be in your physical location, if they could just do it all virtual. But I go back to my wife. She was an acute care therapist. She worked in a ton of settings. Like, she knew, what is it? The assignment. She knew the assignment. She knew her job wasn't to make the patient particularly stronger in acute care or do these exercises or do these things. It was, let's plan for where this person is going to go and let's get them set up with everything that they need. Let's understand the context of the family and the living environment and the big picture. OTs do a great job with that. But I just think a lot of therapists who want to get out of direct patient care, I think that would be a huge opportunity for them to step into. And, you're making a big impact on an individual's life. Your life is completely different because you have this support now.
Jimmy, do you think that if she was 100% remote, like digital, it would have been 70, 80, 90% of you, like, could you look and sound better? Like, you were like, it's almost like a weight, lifted off your shoulders with this whole thing, right? So, but she came with you to some of those two facilities, and she's running around, or she met you in person. How much do you think the in-person stuff contributed? Do you think she could have done 70, 80, 90, or 100% of all this remotely and never meeting you?
I think, no, probably not never meeting me. So I think she'd probably do 80% of it, right? Because, she came to doctor's appointments because we were getting to run around with some of his regular doctor's appointments. And she was standing there, and I could see the nurses and the front desk staff being annoyed with her. Hi, we need this. I need his medication. And they were like, what do you need? Like, but if I would have asked, and if they had rolled their eyes, I probably been like, all right, is that not a normal thing to ask? I guess I'll just dip out. And she's there. She's this little firecracker. I'll interview her. She's this little firecracker retired nurse. That was her job. And she knew exactly what was my dad's right. So could she have done all of it remotely? No. But a lot of the stuff that she does is in the background. I don't care where she does it. Like, knock yourself out. But not all of it, I don't think, remotely. I mean, even her coming to my house and sitting here and being like, we're going to fill this out together because I can tell that you're just cooked, man. So I'm going to go through this, and it's an hour. And I was like, here's the money, pay for it. Like, that's worth an hour of your time.
So I have in the last couple of weeks gotten a little more warmer to some of the virtual stuff. I have some other things to mention if we don't really have the time, maybe next episode. But I was going to make a joke like, Jimmy's got this amazing nurse case manager coming in person. And then you have the Tony Maritatos of the world. And they're like, I have my virtual nurse case manager. Can you speak with her? Yes, there's therapists out there that could do this, Tony. Yes, there's clinicians and there's nurses that could do this. But I don't think we're at that point where you can have someone that does all that and make Jimmy McKay feel as good as he does now from all of this if it's 100% virtual. There's still some of this component of in-person, and the therapists out there. Go ahead.
Like touch points along the way. Like we don't meet weekly, but like we did in the beginning. And then when something happened, she showed up to the hospital. So like, I don't even know how many times I've been in front of her, but like it was touch points along the way.
Okay, let's think about parting shots. I'm going to give you mine. Virtual is better than nothing, right? I mean, we still have to acknowledge, I was on a virtual call yesterday, a patient of mine in the follow-up with the surgeon. I didn't even know he was going, pulls me up on a virtual call, and I'm talking to him and the surgeon, and I'm explaining what he's been doing and the challenges he's been dealing with. Would it be better if I was there in the room? Sure, but I'm not. And virtual is better than nothing. So if Jimmy had this person, but she wasn't in his area, I think he would still appreciate a virtual person than no person.
Correct.
So yeah, I'm not going to say it replaces, but I'm thinking it's better than nothing. That's my parting shot. What do you guys have?
I think I'll say a perfect example of Jimmy's story and situation. Yes, there's therapists and nurses out there that can do this type of stuff virtually. But if you're trying to replace your entire income and just do virtual stuff only, just be aware that folks like Jimmy or the folks that are in that type of situation are obviously willing to pay more out of pocket for that service when there's some of the in-person, some, escorting him to the different different SNFs and facilities, checking those out. He or she can, help with the visits. They're coming in person. They know what to ask. They know what to say. They have the emotions almost slightly detached from it. They can focus on the craft of that service, without the family member, Jimmy or your mother, father, or anyone watching or listening, like forgetting what questions to ask. And you leave and you're like, oh, I meant to ask this and this, and we didn't cover this, and I don't know what to do with the next step. So it just two different value propositions. And of course there's, two different budgets and two different dollar amounts, but always great to hash it out. Jimmy, what do you got?
Ironically, I feel like the conversation with Ali, finding a mentor, sort of parallel what I was just talking about, which is if you can't solve a problem, you can go look for other solutions. I mean, I could have YouTubed a solution on this, right? And that probably wouldn't have helped me. Maybe a little bit, would have given me some insight, right? But look for the people. Like so many times, we started by talking about what was popular at CSM this year in AI. That's going to be a solution, but like people are the ultimate cause, as Homer Simpson would say, cause of and solution to most of life's problems. So look for who those people are. And I know like sometimes it's jarring and you'd say like, well, it costs what? But think about the time and effort and pain and the not. That's what Tony was asking. Well, how much is this worth you to not have it solved? Is this a 0 to 10? I think someone said in your comments below, Tony, if it's not a 7 or above, I don't want to work with that person. It's not that important.
Great question.
No worse than someone else, because you're going to come here 3 times and then you're going to bail and you're going to leave a bad review. I don't want you. So fire those clients. So I think my parting shot would be, it's all about people. Find the right ones and life gets a little easier. Not easy. Trust me. None of this stuff is easy. It ain't. But it gets a little bit easier when you find your right people. It takes a village.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. Don't forget, Jimmy McKay is back. Go check out PT Pintcast, subscribe, Dave Kittle Show, learn Medicare billing. See you guys on the next episode.
The boys are back in town.
Hey, it's Dave Kittle. Are you a healthcare business owner or physical therapy practice owner who is looking to figure out your succession plan or exit strategy? We might be able to help. And in fact, we may be interested in acquiring your practice. If you're interested, you can reach out to me. Shoot me an email at dave@conciergepainrelief.com. That's DAVE at CONCIERGE painrelief.com. Or you can call me at any time, 646-781-8884.